Okay, hello everybody. We're here for another episode. So today, Lucian and I, we're going to be talking about this Russian horror sci-fi film, Sputnik.
Sputnik.
Yeah, Sputnik. This was an interesting film. It's been getting a little bit of buzz, so we want to talk about it. This is came out in 2020. It looks like this was a VOD release, but this is it's like a Russian film, so I'm not sure how we would have seen it anyway, if regardless of the pandemic. So this film, so basically it starts off with like a couple of astronauts and they're like circling the Earth. They don't really tell us like what is going on exactly, right? We don't know what time it is. We don't know if this is supposed to be like, a different version of Earth or something, a different version of the time. But all we know from the jump is there's these two astronauts. They're in space. They're Russian. They're in one of those kind of capsule things, and they're floating around the Earth. And then they hear something, and then the guy looks out the window, and he's like, "Oh my God, look!" And something like grabs onto the top of the spaceship and is like the top door is like moving, and then some accident happens, and
they like plummet for a hot second, and then that's it.
Yeah. So we see the door open. Next thing, they plummet. They're on Earth, and we see one of the astronauts. I think it's Konstantin, something like that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to recall anyone's names or any actors' names. I apologize.
Yeah, there's like four characters in this, and there's really three that we really, really care about. One of them is this astronaut, the one that survives. So we see the crash, and so then we get, it's the year is 1983, and they crashed in like Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan.
The Soviet Kazakhstan, yeah. So we know this is like 1980s Cold War Russia. So one of them is like one of the astronauts, I'm pretty sure, is either dead or we don't see him. And then we see the other guy, this guy who's going to be like our main character.
We do see, see him with his like skull like cracked open. Like we see him on the floor because they get found, classic thing, they get found by like a farmer or something. Yeah, they get found by a farmer. And he's like this guy, Konstantin, is alive, but his eyes are like black. He looks like he's been infected with something. And then sort of that's the beginning of the film. What do you think? Does this feel like a good opening scene for you? Kind of. I didn't. So going into this film, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know anything about it. I haven't heard about it. I didn't even know it was a Russian film until like I Googled it to like download it, to find it. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. And then the opening is it reminded me a little bit of like some of the scenes in Gravity with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, like in the capsule. Like I'm not saying that those are the only movies that exist as the American movies, but like that's what I knew. That's what I was seeing. And I guess right off the jump, it felt not conventional. What's the word? It was just like kind of stuck to the pat, like I'd seen this before, kind of aesthetically, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
but I was intrigued. I was really intrigued.
It definitely kind of plays, because like that's a pretty typical sort of sci-fi premise. People go to space. I feel like this is something that was put out there in like the 50s through like the 60s or 70s. It's like, what's out there in space? We have no idea. What if we send astronauts out there and they get attacked by something and they bring something back? That's generally a
what I do think, and we're going to get into this later, what I do think is a genuine, like a really, really cool twist on all this is that it is taking place in Soviet Russia, basically. And it's made by Russian filmmakers, so I'm 100% sure there's like a ton of nods and like references to things that we wouldn't understand. But it seems like a really solid, like they could have done a little bit more with it maybe, but it's like a nice framework for the movie. It kind of puts your head in like, this is what these characters are going to be able to do, this is what they're not going to be allowed to do, and it should be interesting.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid opening. I definitely like when you see the guy and his eyes are black and it's like, ooh, something's up. Not sure what, but something's up.
I could be insane, but there's like when the farmer's approaching him and he's like leaning against the capsule, you could see like some tentacles in the shot. You could see some tentacles next to him and then they disappear, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the effects are pretty good in this. I like them.
Yes.
Okay, so then the next scene we get, there's like this. I'm not sure what you would call it. It's like a board of people that are a
review board or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's a review board, and they're doing a review for this woman, Tatiana, and she's. Did you remember like exactly what she did? Was she like a psychiatrist or?
No, she was a medic, I think. Okay. And the whole point, and this one scene is all we really know about her character for the rest of the movie. The whole point is that there's protocols. Again, this is the Soviet Union. There are protocols and there are ways that you go about things. Mm-hmm. And she went against the rules and out of her way to do something reckless to save somebody else's life. I don't remember the details. It was some kid who was drowning or whatever, and she went into the water to save him. I don't remember exactly. But the point was they were reprimanding her. They were about to, fire her or whatever, take her license away, something like that, because she went against the rules and she got something done not the correct way. And in the Soviet Union, you don't do that. You're either a player or you're out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she kind of basically showed initiative. She was willing to break the rules to do what was right by her. Mm-hmm. But again, like you can't, in this world, you can't do that. Yeah. But then she meets with this military general guy. I think it's like Semiradov or something like that. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Yeah. But anyway, so he's like the head of the military, and he's like, okay, I can fix your problems, but I need you to help me with something, and I can't really tell you a lot about it. And I'm not going to force you to do it either. I'm just going to sort of say this is what the deal is. And if you want to do it, then come with me. So she decides, okay, I'm down. And so he takes her to this like military installation where they have the astronaut that we met, Konstantin or whatever, and they're observing him and they're questioning him and they're trying to get some information from him that he's not giving away right away. And so they have him in like the classic kind of glass two-way mirror box to interrogate him.
They're saying he has amnesia, right? And they need her to help kind of get in and crack him. And again, the commissioner, whatever, when he picks her out, he says, "I'm just so you know, I am picking you because you you break the rules and you get results, because I'm only interested in results."
Yeah. Exactly. And so he wants to sort of exploit her ability so that he can get what he wants out of. So what we learn later is that, he has a motive for what he wants to get out of this thing with the astronaut. And they, we start to learn more and more about like what they're doing at this installation basically. And it's not all great. So somewhere around like I'd say a third or so into the film, we get like a little bit more of a perspective of what's going on here. So they show her this what happens at night with the astronaut. So they put him in this little room and they put like a glass door that closes it shut where he's sleeping. And then at night, this creature crawls out of his mouth.
Yep.
And it's like this little, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. It's got 8 eyes. It's got like a hooded head. It kind of walks bipedally. And now we're like, what the hell? And then they say, and then the military guy's like, okay, so your job is to separate the parasite from the host being the astronaut. And basically we have 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks we're going to try and parade him out as a national hero.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another element to this, is that because this is Soviet Russia, they didn't put out the story of what happened to the astronauts. As far as anyone's concerned, They made it back. Everything's safe. The mission was a great success because the mission is always a great success. Yeah. So they need to kind of move this along to get these astronauts back in shape. The other guy's basically dead, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah. For a while, we don't even see the other guy, but we know this guy. You know, like she talks with him, and then she says, "Oh yeah, he has PTSD." And that's like sort of her explanation for the amnesia. Mm-hmm. But this alien creature thing is like a whole another level.
Yeah.
And then
I thought it was a pretty sweet twist.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be one of those movies where they tiptoe along the mystery, and then in the last 5 minutes we see the creature because, you know, effects are expensive.
Yeah.
But no, this movie delivered. You're hanging out with that creature the whole time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's really about the creature, and like, you know, we see the creature in different contexts. It does some pretty gnarly stuff. At first it's kind of like it's not as gruesome, but it gets more gruesome as the film goes on. So I think in the next scene, like she tries to like communicate with the creature, and I remember there was one scene in particular where, so like, I think she at first she just tries to sort of, I don't know, interact with it in any way, touch it, feel it, see what it can do. Yeah. And then it just attacks her.
Right.
And then in another scene, so the astronaut, he like brought up this toy up into space, because it reminded him of some things in his past that become important. And the creature has a certain interaction with it. But then again, she like does something and then it attacks her. So
but it's all to kind of figure out that the creature and the guy, it's another cool twist on the whole alien thing. It's a symbiote, which again is nothing about this movie is going to be something that you haven't seen or heard of before as a concept or as a movie or as a twist or whatever. But it is a symbiotic relationship. So the creature that comes out of him is literally him. They share the same consciousness. They're just like two different organisms. That was pretty interesting. So the things that appeal to him emotionally also appeal to the creature emotionally.
Yeah. So that's basically, this is the Russian like Venom.
It's the Russian exactly Venom, comma alien, comma rival, comma, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, it definitely plays it more like this is something to be feared, right? This thing, they don't totally understand it. It is a separate entity from him, but they both share sort of a consciousness. So when this thing,
they're linked. So if one of them takes damage, the other one takes damage, and vice versa. Yeah.
And another thing that they said was that the creature allows him to basically heal faster. While they are,
which may or may not be why he survived the initial fall kind of unscathed.
Yeah, and then why the other guy was just straight up basically dead.
Yeah.
But he was able to live through it because the symbiote helped him out. I think. So there's some other stuff. I think we'll sort of stay too much away from like spoilers, because like at that point, then there's like some bigger things that happen. But so I guess overall, what was your feeling about the film? What were the things you liked, and what was the things I guess maybe didn't work for you?
Dude, I really liked it. I really liked it. But again, somewhere around the second half of the second act and maybe into the third act, it like really kind of devolves. Like it's again, it's nothing you haven't seen before, but it is executed incredibly well. The one thing that stood out to me in particular was the cinematography, almost to the point that like it was distracting how good it was to me. There's at least in the first, what they do really, really well is this first act that we just described. To build the mystery. And so there's the camera movements are very precise. They're kind of like psychologically precise in that way. Everything like the choices of the shots and the way stuff is lit, the way that like the mood of the whole location, I thought was incredibly well done. Again, I thought it was like almost distracting how every shot was like something really, really cool visually. but that's pretty much it. I mean, the acting is superb. The acting is incredible. Russian Colin Farrell, and then this woman is there. They're both great. The general is playing this like he's doing this Russian general thing as best I've ever seen anyone do a Russian general, possibly because he is Russian. Everyone is doing great. It's just that the story itself, once the twists unravel, and once there's a whole backstory with the guy and the reason that toy is important, stuff like that. It gets a little muddled towards the end.
I think at the end it sort of turns into this love story kind of thing. Like the second half is like it's like a romance, basically, is what it becomes between like the doctor and the astronaut.
It's stupid. It's stupid. No, I'm saying that because it's squandered potential for me. Because again, if anything, this movie is worth watching for the first 40 minutes, 50 minutes, while they build up the mystery, and then once it starts to unravel, particularly that third act, like it just kind of speeds up, and it's like, okay, we got to get to the next action scene or whatever. But yeah, I liked it. I think. It's constructed in an incredibly smart way. Like the people who made this movie knew the kind of movie they were making. I don't know too much about the development history, if this is supposed to be like a particularly low budget film, because if it is, this is the best low budget film I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the budget was. I mean, it looks like a mid-rangey kind of thing.
It does. It does. This looks like something that could have come out in theaters. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you said, like they really like once you see the creature at first, and then there's a couple other things that are kind of like, as you learn more about what this relationship between the guy and the alien is, they kind of do a good job of like revealing slowly, like, oh yeah, but like the astronaut has secrets that he's not letting out. So does the military person. So does she's working with this other scientist guy, and they kind of have a rivalry.
Oh right, yeah. There's a whole There's again all of the stereotypes and all the side characters that have their own tiny little baby arcs. They're all in there.
Yeah, and it's really just like mostly three characters: the military guy, the astronaut, and the other woman who I guess is like a nurse or something, or like does some kind of medical. Doctor. And then there's a little bit of this other scientist who he's the first one like examining him, and he kind of hits a brick wall. He tries to hypnotize him at the beginning, and it just doesn't get what they want out of it. And the astronaut's kind of like, he has his own motives. He's trying to outsmart them too. As we learn later, and
everyone's trying to outsmart everyone. It doesn't quite get to the point of like a Cold War spy movie, like in terms of the twists. But the one thing I want to, I guess, say and stress about this movie is that it starts out one way. It's really artsy. The camera movements are really beautiful and everything. It is not that kind of movie. It is very much a popcorn movie. So this movie, I thought, was going to be. I got a lot of Denis Villeneuve vibes from this whole thing, and I thought it was going to have a bigger purpose or bigger point. Like Arrival starts with the mystery, ends with the whole love, temporality message, whatever. This does not have a message, and that's not a bad thing, but it presents itself extremely seriously, but it really is a popcorn movie. It is 100% by the numbers popcorn, which is great. But again, I thought they were going to take it a little bit further. I thought they were going to give it a grander message. Again, with the Cold War theme, I thought there was going to be something about like, breaking rank and going against the system. None of that. Just wash your mind out. It's just you just follow the plot, and that's it. And it's good.
Yeah, it is good. I thought it was pretty solid. And definitely, like, just to talk a little bit about the creature, you kind of see it in some of the promotional stuff. But yeah, they do a pretty good job of like the effects. And it's a unique looking thing, and you see it do all kinds of stuff. Like you said, it's not like you like see it at the very end, or you only see it a little bit, and it's like in the shadow. No, you see this thing a fair amount, and it does some violent stuff. towards the middle and the end of this film.
Again, it delivers across the board on like all of that stuff, all the all the stuff that your average moviegoer would want to see. You know, it doesn't tease you and then take it away. It's in there.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I guess we should go to our rating. So what would you give this out of 10?
I was thinking about it, and it's not exceptional, but I just think it's so like well made for what it is. I can't really rationalize giving it lower than a 7. I think it's a solid 7.
Yeah, I'm about there with you. I think it's like a 6.5. I think the only issue is like when we start getting into the second half and the love story.
Yeah,
it definitely. So this film gives you what you would want. Like there's like when you see the creature at first, you see the thing come out of the guy. That's hella cool. It kind of reminded me like it's a little similar to this film, The Hidden. I don't know if you've ever seen that film.
But oh my god, the 80s movie?
Yeah, the 80s like B movie with Kyle MacLachlan. That one does a similar thing, but it like the thing controls people, but it's like the same thing. It crawls in and out of people and then sort of has an effect on them. But like this, you're seeing like a 21st century version of that effect. Like they did it kind of in a pretty cool way with practical effects in the 80s, but this is like they do it with today's technology, and it's really cool the way it looks. And like you see this thing do some brutal ass shit, and they don't hold back with what it does. It's like hard R, sci-fi violence.
Yeah.
What you would want out of that kind of a thing. So I think that stuff was good. I'd give it probably like a 6.5. I think it's well done. I'd be curious to know what the budget was for this thing.
That's it. If the budget turns out to be like $5 or $10 million or something, I will hit myself, because
that would be amazing, right?
Yeah, it feels like like they were compensating on, okay, we don't have too many special effects. We're gonna make it look really pretty. We're gonna make it look really ponderous, and then it has special effects, and then it turns into a whole like action movie, and you're like, awesome.
Yeah. So
the only thing that doesn't hold up, like you said, is really the story, and that's about it.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to imagine like where do you go with the story? Like the only other thing I can think could happen is that you just have to kill everybody, basically, right? like have the government come in and just like exterminate everyone, and then have them say, oh well, so he unfortunately passed away, but he's the hero, something like that. Because it's hard to like resolve, because like you said, then thematically you have to sort of address the society at large, and how the Soviet Union would have dealt with this type of a problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they basically want to weaponize it to fight, the Cold War. But when that doesn't work out, like realistically, what would they have done?
And honestly, it's a little bit sanitized at the end, after all of the shit goes down and all of this crazy stuff is like gets out, essentially, because we never go to Moscow. We never go to big, like the top. This is one little compound under this one general's rule, and this guy's like keeping a tight lid on it. And once everything gets out, I found it really hard to believe that they would, well, I don't want to get into spoilers, but just the way that it ends is it's like you get your cake and you eat it too, and it's a happy ending.
Yeah.
And I don't believe the government, the regime would have allowed what happens at the very end of the movie to happen. There's no fucking way. Everybody gets sterilized and killed, and nobody hears about this ever again. Nobody makes it out of that compound alive. Yeah,
exactly. Like they would have to go scorched earth.
Gets buried. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets buried, and like super buried. Like there's stuff that we've learned about the Soviet Union after the archives came. This would be something which again, goes back to what could have been a thematic thing that they could have approached with the film, is like, this is something that their society doesn't really deal with very well.
They could have framed this in a way that this is a true story that you haven't heard, and this is why you haven't heard about it, kind of a thing. Like that could have been a twist, that could have been something. I don't know. There's just a lot of ways you can take it, I feel like, after the kind of midpoint of the movie.
Yeah. But they're just trying to stick to a simple premise with this film, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, okay, this is a sci-fi premise you've seen before.
Yeah, and there's plot holes all over the place. So I'm not saying it's like incredibly well set up or anything. It's got all of the Hollywood cliches.
Yeah, for sure. But it's a fun, cool film.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, and I think we both thought it was pretty cool, pretty serviceable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. Yeah. So you gave it a 7. I gave it about a 6.5. So we're probably about on the same page.
Ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I gave it a little bit of an edge because, again, I do think that first act is really strong, and the cinematography in particular kind of blew my mind in the beginning, and then it subdues itself by the end.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think definitely, like, especially like right up to the point where you like see the creature for the first time. Mm-hmm. It's like, whoa, okay, that's really cool.
Yeah. I wonder where this is gonna go. Oh,
yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, so I think that'll be our review for Sputnik. And yeah, cool. Everyone, thanks for stopping by. And we'll see you next time.
Check it out.